I feel paralyzed.
What's up, Hanz family, and welcome to HANZOWEEN. HANZOWEEN is 31 tutorials in the month of October. That means a new tutorial every single day. Today is going to be kind of a Lich King / Queen inspired skull. I love me some World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is the shit, so if you like it, I hope you like this tutorial as well. All product details will be listed down below as usual, and let's get to it. Just like in every tutorial, we want to start off by sketching out where we want our features to be. I'm using a white pencil because white will be easiest to cover, but you could use any color that you prefer. I usually speed these clips up quite a bit, but I am keeping them pretty slow because I want to show you guys how long I take on getting the proportions properly put down. You want your skull to be as symmetrical as possible. If you watch closely, you can even see my eyes shifting from side to side because I'm really looking to make sure that both sides look the same, and I'm also feeling around with my face with my fingers. I want to see and feel where my actual bones are so that I could use those as a reference as well. Take your time on this step so that you can get it right the first time. To fill in the skull portion, I am going to be using white body paint. This is from Wolfe FX. I usually use a lot of my Mehron paints, but I do have these Wolfe FX ones too, which are awesome, and they're actually really great for line work. At this point, you can really clean up some of those lines that you have drawn down with that white, and I'm still looking at both sides to make sure it's as proportional as possible. Fill in the portion of your mouth that is going to have the teeth forward, which is basically on top of your lips. And then I'm going to use that white body paint to draw on the other teeth that are extending by my cheek. These are going to be the teeth that are kind of a little more hidden from the cheekbone popping out. So I am using a little bit of a lighter application of paint. I'm adding a lot more water so that it's very watered down and it's not quite as opaque of a white as the rest of my face. This is basically because those teeth are going to be kind of hidden a little more because of the cheekbone popping out and casting a shadow onto them. Both sides kind of ended at the very end of each of my eyes, so I wanted to do both sides so that they matched. You could do these as opaque as you've done the rest of your face, but since we're going to be adding so much shadow on this, there's really no need. After you're all done with that, make sure to use your brush as a little bit of a ruler and kind of place marker again, just to make sure your teeth hit the exact same spot on both sides. And then just fill in that little middle portion of your nose. Since our teeth curve around our face, the teeth closest to our ears would be very dark, and I decided that I wanted to add an extra few just so that I could really make those super dark so that they would be barely there. Since we are going with kind of a Lich King Queen feel, I took a little bit of white and teal paint mixed together to get this little blue, and I'm putting that towards the center of my eyes and then mixing it into Lagoon blue from Mehron. I want the center of the eyes to pop out and kind of look like they're illuminating from within. If you look at the Lich King's eyes, his eyes are very bright and blue, and they look like they are really just have a light illuminating from inside of them. Since we are doing a skull though, we want the very outsides to be dark since that skull bone would be casting a shadow down into our eyes. So have black be the very last color you put right up against that bone. Do the exact same thing with the nose, just making it look like the nose is kind of illuminating from within, a lighter blue, darker blue, and then to black on the very outside. Fill in around the teeth and the hollows of the cheeks with just regular black. This is from Wolfe again. And make sure to outline your jawbone and completely fill in your ears with black paint. We want those to be completely hidden so the black paint will give the illusion that they aren't even there. I'm just using a little bit of black eyeshadow to sketch out where I am going to have some of these teeth be, and then I'm going to use Stealth. This is from Geek Cosmetics, and I'm going to start shading around the skull a little bit to give it a little more dimension. I'm using a reference photo of an actual skull, and I would suggest definitely doing the exact same. A skull, there's so much to it, and there's so many different shadows and highlights, so you need to use a reference picture, especially if you've never drawn one before. I would also use a reference picture with a grain of salt. I've said this before in tutorials where A reference picture is great, but at the same time you want it to fit your face properly because it is makeup. If you're just drawing from the reference picture and not taking your actual face into consideration, it could look a little off. Between steps of using the gray eyeshadow, this is Anastasia Beverly Hills Bone eyeshadow, which is pretty perfect for the name. I'm just going to use that to help blend out the gray back into the white and give a little bit of an off-white tone. I don't want my skull to just be whites to grays to blacks. I want there to be lots of different colors in them. Around the outside of the skull would definitely be the darkest, and wherever any indentions are going in, aka your eye sockets, near your nose, near where your little cheekbones are, you would have it go darker. When you're getting by the teeth, there is a little bit of a divot that goes from your cheekbone into your mouth. If you feel around your face before you draw this, you can feel it. You can feel your cheekbone going down. So you want that little part to be a little darker. And then the bottom of your cheekbone would also have shadow too, since it's curving downwards. I decided to add a little crack, still using Stealth. The reference picture I was using had quite a few cracks, but I just wanted to add one. I didn't want it to overpower the look. And I'm just adding more shadow around the bottom of the skull and making sure to accentuate that chin. This is Corrupt eyeshadow from Makeup Geek, and what I'm doing now is I'm just darkening and defining the shadows. I really want to define the lines and define the little cracks and portions that have sticking out of the skull as well. We're trying to make this look like a dimensional 3D skull, so the more shadow you add around the spots where it would be darkest, the more that those highlighted spots will pop out and look like they're actually popping from your skin. Onto the teeth, I'm using that same black eyeshadow, and I am just kind of drawing on a little point from that square that I already have to give kind of that teeth shape. And these don't have to be perfect because we're going to be adding lots of shadow to them later, so you can see some of my teeth are kind of messed up and not all of them are completely symmetrical. Using that Stealth eyeshadow again, I'm going between every tooth and right up against the top of it, because since we drew that little line, what that's showing is that that tooth is coming off of that skull, the bone, so there would naturally be a little bit of shadow there. Pull the shadow upwards a little more just to give that kind of elongated tooth feel. When it comes to the sides of the mouth, you want it to look curved. So by adding gray eyeshadow all over those back teeth, that'll help to make the teeth in the front pop and look like they're actually popping forward to give a very 3D effect. Use some more black eyeshadow just to darken and define like we did a little earlier. And use that black eyeshadow to really, really darken those back teeth. Have a nice transition from black into gray, into light gray, into white. The only teeth that should really be white are the ones that are right on your lips. The bottom of the mouth has that same kind of divot as well, coming from the jawbone into the teeth. Again, if you feel your actual bones, you can feel it. And then use a little bit of black body paint just to start to make the bottoms of the teeth a little more curved. We don't want them to look too square. Most teeth aren't just exact square little chiclets. I've said this in a couple tutorials before. And I just want to make sure that every tooth has a little bit of a dark line between them just to really define them. I'm also still using that black body paint just to line a few of the shadows that I do have going on the features. With the reference picture I was looking at, there were a couple little cracks in the teeth, so I'm just using black body paint to draw a few lines here and there on a few of the teeth just so that they look a little aged and worn down. Using Kryolan's Clown White Cream Paint, I just want to highlight a few portions of the skull so those look like they're popping out a little more. You could use this same color for the teeth, but I did decide to go back to some white water-activated body paint, and I'm going to be highlighting the teeth a little bit, just highlighting the portion that's going towards the nose inwards on each side. Don't go on the very, very back teeth because those would be completely grayed out, and then I wanted to add a cute little curved highlight on the top of each tooth. I don't know why I called it cute. This isn't cute, but that's what it's called, I guess. Continuing that kind of aged feel, I am pulling the lines of the teeth upwards a little bit to give a little bit more of a cracked, aged feel. And then I am going back in wherever there should be black body paint. I am re-adding black body paint because that eyeshadow can get on top of that and really muddle up the color. For the eyes, I'm using this Sugar Pill Pro palette, and I'm mixing between After Party and Velocity. They're both blue matte eyeshadows, and I'm focusing those all around the center of the eye. And then I'm using white body paint to highlight it by putting a little bit of paint on and then patting the color out so it blends out. Do this a few times to layer up the color and do it on both eyes. And then I'm taking some more white body paint, which is pretty much going to be concentrated. I added just a tiny bit of water so it's super white. And I'm going to add on small little white glossy highlights on both eyes in the exact same positions. This will just help to make the eye look a little more realistic. Add in a few more pops of highlight of white around the skull, but you don't want them to be too bright white or else it will kind of take away from any realism we got going on. And then add a little bit of highlight on the nose as well. I'm bringing some black body paint down my neck just so that's a nice cohesive look, and I'm leaving some brush strokes towards the end because I want it to just nicely blend off into my skin color. Make sure to get your hairline as well so that you match in with your skull. And this, you guys, is the final look. I hope you enjoyed it. This was my first skull on my channel, and it was pretty fun. I really liked giving it a little bit of a Lich King feel to it. If you recreate this for Halloween, please use the hashtag HANZOWEEN so I can see. I'm dying to see what you guys are going to do. And please subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.